Okay, everyone. Let's take a look at Munir's task one. A quick look at the question. You
Sir,
recently.
it's quite low,
Sorry,
so we
Munir.
cannot hear you.
You
Yes,
cannot
sir.
hear
So
me.
your voice is quite low today. We cannot hear you clearly.
Okay. I'll just remove the microphone. I thought I'd try the microphone today. Okay. What about now, Munir? Is it better now?
Sir, it seems it's better now. It's better. Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Okay. So let's take a look at the question. You recently attended a meeting at a hotel. When you returned home, you found you had left some important papers at the hotel. Write a letter to the manager of the hotel. In your letter, say why you think you left the papers, explain why they are so important, and tell the manager what you want him or her to do. Okay. The first thing in task one is to find out what you think the relationship is between you and the person you're writing to. So of course it's a manager, and it looks like you haven't dealt with this person before, so it's going to be it's going to be a formal letter, not informal or semi-formal. Okay, so this means that we're going to be using full form. Okay, we're not going to introduce anything personal inside the letter. We're not going to start off with chit chat, say how are you or anything like that. We're going to go directly and start off with the reason we are writing to them. Okay, so this is the format, and it seems to me that Munir's done a good job. It seems all full form. There are no informal kind of words, mainly formal. It is kind of polite in the tone, which it should be for a formal letter. Okay, so it seems that everything is right regarding format, except for the letter doesn't start with any kind of greeting, so you can't have a letter without greeting, especially a formal letter. Now, sometimes when you're writing to friends and things like that, you might just write without even saying hi or their name or whatever. But when it is a formal letter, you want to make sure that you get a formal greeting. So in this letter, we do not know the name of the person. So we could start off with dear sir or madam, and then we can start off the letter. Now, I think things like this, not greeting the person, will reduce marks for task achievement. Okay, so it is very important. It's part of the task, which is writing in the format of a letter, to greet the person in the appropriate manner for a formal letter. Now, Munir seems to do a good job. He finishes off with best regards. Best regards is a very neutral phrase. It can be used informal, informal, and semi-formal. So he seems, he's okay there. Okay. There seems to be no problem with that whatsoever. Right, let's get to it. So, as we said, formal letters, they do not start off with chit-chat. They start off with the reason for the letter, and the reason for the letter here is to talk about documents. Now, in the last one, we took a look at Fiza, and Fiza, what she did, instead of starting off with the correct reason she was writing, she started to say, I'm writing regarding a meeting and stuff like that. So the person who you're writing to thinks the letter is about a meeting, when in reality the letter is about papers that you forgot at the hotel. So here Munir, he did a good job, and he started off with the purpose and writing regarding, and now you started off the educational document, the educational document. So there was no mention of the documents, and you are initiating the writing. So the person who is reading doesn't know anything about your situation whatsoever. So when you say the documents, it's like the person already knows about them. And of course, the person doesn't know about them because you're going to tell them about the documents. So we can't use the definite article here, the. So we could say, I'm writing regarding educational documents that I forgot at your hotel. And then possibly we could give a little bit more information about the situation and, just the, overall what's mentioned here. Okay. I attended an on-spot admission event there. Okay, what do you think my issue is with the word there here? There is a reference link, by the way. Anyone?
Yes, sir. I was not thinking it's. I had to replace that. My attention, my sixth sense.
Okay, so here we have to put at your hotel. Okay. The reason being we haven't mentioned. Sir. No. You're fine. You're fine. Sorry about that. You're fine.
Yes, I have mentioned that.
Okay, you're fine. You mentioned your hotel here. I attended an on-spot event there. Okay, so this is good use actually of a reference link here. And this is what we need. We need reference links for a band 7.
Yes, sir. That's what I want to know.
Okay, so Munir is on track here. Sorry about that. I didn't see the word hotel. Held by representatives of, let's say, the University of Regina. Now, prepositions and articles are not capitalized in titles. So we say university with the small o, Regina. So articles and prepositions are not capitalized. Of the University of Regina, Canada, on 7th September at 2 p.m.
Sir, I thought it's the total complete name of the university, so I wrote it capital.
Okay, we don't capitalize prepositions and articles, okay? Even though it's in there. Okay, while making scanned copies of all my documents, I realized that 2 of my important papers, and I have transcript migration certificate. So we could say like we could say a transcript with a small t, and migration certificate. Okay, and a migration certificate. Were missing, not are missing, were missing. Okay, because you're talking in the past. Yeah, I realized. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The most likely place of my documents. Yeah, here I didn't understand this. The most likely place to be at, I believe, is the conference. I think you made it sound very strange and then overcomplicated the sentence here. The most likely place of my documents is the conference hall. Now, I like what you've done here. I like what you've done here, Munir, because here you've kind of, not like Fizza, because Fizza was just like writing and writing and writing and writing. And then in the end, I found out that it was at the conference hall. But what you've done is you have introduced the main point from the beginning and then started to give details about it. I like your approach, okay? It seems straight to the point, and it seems also clear that this paragraph is going to be about the documents and stuff like that. Good job. I was given the time slot of 3:30 to meet the representatives. I clearly remember that all my documents were inside the briefcase before meeting them. Right after the meeting, I returned, and then I have straight to home. Okay, I can't straight to home. It's not possible. So I returned straight away, possibly to my home. Maybe that's possible. And locked the briefcase, not into. I locked it in my drawer. Okay, we can put something into, but we lock in. So it's kind of a collocation there, yeah. So
okay.
I locked my briefcase in my drawer. The only time I took the documents out of the briefcase was during the consultation. Okay, with one of the representatives. Therefore, the chances of being, what being? Being those important papers. I don't know, the structure was like really like everything was kind of in the wrong place. I didn't know how to restructure this. So I'm not sure, you know, how to put all of the verbs, you know, and everything into the correct order. So I just got rid of it. Therefore, the chances of the chances of the papers, or yeah. So the chances of the papers being in the conference hall are very high.
Okay, sir.
I thought about this. I couldn't think how I can organize these words in a way that will make them a sentence. So I just had to delete them. Okay, so the chances of the papers being in the conference hall are very high. Okay, they are very urgently required. Okay, now, as means because, and as is a subordinating conjunction. Okay, as is a subordinating conjunction, and when we put subordinating conjunctions in the middle of sentences, so when the dependent clause comes second, usually we do not put a comma. We put a comma before while and whereas, but with the rest of subordinating conjunctions, we don't put a comma usually, and we just leave it without a comma. Okay. So they are very urgently required, as I'm supposed to submit the documents at the aforementioned university. Failing to which, I'm not sure, it seems, you know, a bit strange, I'm not sure. Failing to do so, we know what this is, yeah? Guys? What is failing to do so? What do we call that? Misbah?
I don't know.
Misbah? Fiza?
Sir, I have no idea.
Okay. Right. Do so. Failing to do so is called a reference link, and it is replacing submit the documents. Okay. So when we say do so, we can use it to replace a verb when we don't want to repeat the same verb. Okay. Now, this is very important. because we want to get as many reference links as we can. So let me read it again, but this time I'm going to replace it with the phrase. They are urgently required as I'm supposed to submit the documents at the aforementioned university. Failing to submit the documents would possibly result in cancellation of my admission. Okay, so here to do so, when we want to replace a verb, and we don't want to replace like a verb phrase, so we have like a verb and an object, we can say do so. Okay. So maybe I can think of an example here how I could do something like that. I studied very hard for the exam. I had to So I studied very hard for the exam. I had to because the exam was very difficult. So what are we going to use here? How can we do it? I had to
Do so.
Do so.
Do so.
Yeah. So that is a reference link, and you know, we're really, to be honest, we're really desperate to get these reference links inside. Okay, so for coherence and cohesion, this is something that the corrector is going to be looking for. How many types of linkers is this person using? So we need adverbs, we need coordinating conjunctions, we need subordinating conjunctions, we need relative clauses, and we also need some reference links, some pronouns, and this and that and these and do so. And so they are looking for them, and we want this range of cohesive devices. Misbah and Munir. Misbah and Munir. I don't know if you're being honest with the time you're spending on your writing, but your level of accuracy has started to get very high. Okay, so it's kind of in the band 7 range. I hope you're only taking 40 minutes and 20 minutes, 1 hour in total. If you are doing so, okay, so I could use that doing so instead of spending time. So if you are doing so, you know, throwing in some reference links and stuff like that and being focused on the task achievement should guarantee you both a band 7. Okay, Fizza still, I know Fizza still has a little bit more to go because she makes maybe too many lexical mistakes and grammatical mistakes at the moment. But for you, Misbah and Munir, your level of accuracy seems high. Okay, so now we're just looking at the icing, you know, on top of the cake. We're trying to make it, you know, like a little bit more flashy here. So I think for Misbah and Munir, throw in some of those formal idioms. Did you take a copy of the idioms, the list that I put on the, I think I put a list for you guys. I'll repost them. Try and practice with the formal idioms. Try and practice with the reference links, and watch the video coherence and cohesion. Coherence and cohesion. Okay, watch the reference the video coherence and cohesion from that guy. I can't remember, one of the teachers. I think I posted the link for it online. Also, one of my lessons, you know, the lesson where I focused on cohesion and coherence, I recorded that and I put it on my YouTube channel. So look for that lesson, watch it, because I talked about the main important points, you know, for coherence and cohesion. You guys are doing very well, and it's just about, you know, the last touches on grammar, last touches on vocab, you know, little bit task achievement, reference links, and so on. So you're doing very well, Munir. I really like, you know, how you're implementing stuff. Okay, so do so. Failing to do so. What is do so here? What's do so, Munir?
Submit the documents, sir.
Thank you. Submit the documents. So failing to submit the documents will possibly result in cancellation of my admission. Now, I think you've done a good job, all right. But I have a feeling that maybe you could have addressed this point a little bit with a little bit more detail. Okay.
Yes, sir. I wanted to, but I was already exceeding the word count limit. So what was a bit like?
Yeah. No, it is fine. But I got the feeling that when I saw the first paragraph, usually the introductions are very brief. It's just like, what's the reason why I'm writing, and you know, maybe just, you know, an odd sentence, you know, after it. It just seemed like so long, this paragraph. You know, I don't think the first one should be that long. You know, I think, you know, I would keep this one a little bit more to the point. You know, just get the first paragraph right straight to the point. You know, don't go into too much detail. Leave details for, you know, the second and, you know, the following paragraphs, because usually like an introduction to a letter or something like that, it's not that much. Okay, so it's going to be very brief. Here you seem to also, I have a feeling you could have been brief, it could have been briefer than that. And then here you seem to rush it. Okay, you seem to rush it a little bit. Let me just show you something. Okay. So presents and adequately highlights key features or bullet points. Okay. Details may be irrelevant, inaccurate, or inappropriate, or something like that. So here we're going to highlight the key features or bullet points. So how are we going to highlight them? How are we going to highlight them? We're going to give details about them. Okay. So we're going to give details about the key features. Now, I have a feeling that that point, when it came to why are the papers important, I didn't really, you know, think that you did a good job with that. I think it could have been better than that. Okay, so
yes, sir. I wanted to, but sir, I was exceeding the word limit, and I should have written introductions shorter. I agree.
Yeah, here clearly presents and highlights key features. Clearly presents and highlights. So you see why I said to you, like, I like it. Start the body paragraph, bang, go straight to the point, clearly present the point. Because here we're looking at the presentation of the point being clear. And then also we're looking at highlighting this. So highlighting, what's it going to mean? Doesn't mean you pull out a highlighter. It means you give the details and everything. You make it, you know, you clarify it with the details. All right. Now, Munir, you could be lucky. You could be lucky. I have a feeling that you're good, and you could possibly even like get band 8 for task achievement. So I wouldn't blow it I wouldn't blow it by not giving, you know, explaining the bullet points. As with the, you know, task 2, we try to keep them equal. I wouldn't worry like task 2 as much, you know, when I say to keep them equal. I wouldn't worry that much, but I would, you know, like to see each point, you know, at least explained. Okay, let's take a look at 8. Presents, highlights, and illustrates bullet points clearly and appropriately. Okay. Now I say for I say for you, aim for the stars. Okay. You have a level of accuracy. You have a decent use of vocabulary.
Sir, sorry.
Yes, Munir. Yes. Yes, Munir. Okay. Let's get back. Okay. So we have that. I'm not that happy with it. It would be highly appreciated. Would, past simple, yeah? So it would be highly appreciated if you asked your staff to thoroughly scan the whole and inquire every member of, the staff. Every member. And then I'm just going to say working on that day. Working on that day. And then inquire them what? Or maybe it would be better just to say to ask every member of that working on that day if they had seen, maybe the documents. Okay. Here you have as your high priority. Okay. I think it's too much. It's like, it would be highly appreciated if you asked blah blah to scan and inquire every member. It just seemed too long as your high priority. It seemed a bit too much, to be honest.
Okay, sir.
Okay. I'll be waiting for your
Sir,
prompt.
sorry, I did not hear what you were saying regarding the band descriptors, and I had some network issue at that time.
Yeah, I was just explaining that. Here we have clearly presents. Present is when you are presenting the important point. And this is why I said, start off your body paragraph with the point that, with the goal of the body paragraph. So like a topic sentence, and then highlight it by giving the necessary details. So make sure you're doing that for all of the 3 points. And here we have presents and highlights and illustrates. Wow. So we're illustrating, we're really giving a little bit more detail here and clarifying our points clearly and appropriately. Okay, so I say aim for 8, and hopefully, even if you don't get it, you should be able to get a 7. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So yeah, that's that. I'll be waiting for your prompt and positive response. I'm not sure about the positive, thing. I don't know. Sometimes I feel some of the phrases are a bit strange that you use, but more or less you have good use. I like it. For me, if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for there being no greeting, I would have given it straight 7s.
Yes, sir. I know the format and I know there should be greetings, but mistakenly I forgot.
Okay, just make sure you don't do it in the real exam, that's all.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Okay, that's a nice one, Munir. I think you clearly know now what you should be doing. As I said, I think it's good for you to do a lot.
Yes, sir.
Read a lot of
I'm
letters.
quite clear now.
Read a lot of letters. Read lots and lots of letters.
Sir, I have a question that
Yes.
So the samples you provided in PDF file, there are 2 samples, I guess, and in that there's a format also given that how should you write an essay or a letter, informal or informal whatsoever. So should we follow that format as well, or we should only copy the language and?
Munir,
Yes, sir.
I'm sure there are many ways that you can write letters, and there are a lot of stuff that you can do. Okay, I do not think there is any need to reinvent the wheel. You know, we know what a letter should look like. First paragraph for a formal letter should introduce the reason why you're writing, and then introduce each point in a separate paragraph. Start off with the point, clearly present the point, very, very clearly, the point which you are trying to present. After you've clearly presented the point, start to give some more details about it, explain the point, and so on. And then finish off. All I want when I give you letters is I want you to pick up the phrases, to pick up the language. I want you to get more of a feeling for the language. What is informal? What is formal? What is semi-formal? That's all I want. I want you to have more of a natural use. Now, natives seem to have...
Yes, I got it.
Natives seem to have something that they use, you know. It's difficult to explain. But I'm going to explain it like this. Natives don't seem to have like extremes. Okay. So you don't have, you know, like the extreme informal or the extreme ultra formal. You know, they seem to be steady. It's like when they're informal, they're kind of informal throughout. When they're formal, they're just kind of formal throughout, without the extremes. Now, when you read something that's by somebody who's non-native, what they don't have is they don't have a feeling for what is informal and what is ultra formal and what is formal. I just want you to get more of a feeling of what natives write like when they're writing informal and how they write when they're writing formal, just so that you get a better idea of, you know, your use of vocabulary and phrases and stuff like that for each of them. Okay, just for the style of the writing. I want you to pick up something by continuously reading letters. I hope that you will be able to, you know, use the language in a more stable manner. When you're formal, you kind of stay formal. When you're informal, you kind of stay informal. When you're semi-formal, you're kind of like between the two, just to get more of a feeling only. That's all I care about. As for, you know, like format or steps or whatever, I do not see any reason why you need to, you know, follow any kind of advice. For task 2 as well.
Okay.
For task 2 as well. The advice I gave you for task 2 is the safest advice, because you know, examiners, they seem to have like different opinions. This is okay, and one of them say no, this is not okay, and one of them says, you know, do it like this, and one says you should do it like that. So what I try to do is I try to, you know, give students an approach that seems to be accepted the most between all of the examiners that I know. And that's what I try to do. This is why I want people just to follow my approach, but to pick up language from natives. Okay, I like the language. But other than that, you know, some of them, they don't even understand the band descriptors as well. And I know this because, you know, I get lots of inquiries from teachers and so on about the band descriptors and how to mark and what this means and what that means. So they can't teach somebody structures if they don't even know the band descriptors. Okay, Munir, that's you. You're doing very well. Keep, you know, like keep in contact and stuff. Please send me some of your writing definitely before your exam, just so that, you know, I can tell you if you're a solid 7. Please hang around for Misbah's.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Hang around for Misbah's task
Yes, sir,
1
yeah.
if you have the time. You might need it someday. You never know.
Yes. No, sir. I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Misbah. Misbah. Wow. You know, I'm really happy. I'm happy with you. You're really doing really well. Your vocabulary is good. Your grammar is very good. Everything seems good. I'm just going to make a few points on your task achievement and CC. Okay. Now, here what we have is we have this graph here. It shows how people use electricity in an Australian house. And here we have how these sources of energy, sorry, not electricity, different forms of energy, how energy is used, sorry, in the house. And here we have how these sources of energy, how these sources of energy, how the different tasks in the house, contribute to emissions. All right. So we have two different charts here. Now, probably the easiest and the simplest way of separating these into body paragraphs would be to compare this one in one body paragraph and this one in another body paragraph. This would be a logical way. I think any examiner would understand what you're doing. Oh, here we're talking about how the energy is used. Here we're talking about the different things, different activities, and what type of emission they have. So any examiner would accept that. Now, what you did, Misbah, is you put everything in one body paragraph. So because you only have one body paragraph here, how do I know? You're not really showing me that you know how to paragraph. Use how to separate and group, different things in paragraphs. That's what I need for a band 7. Everything about this really said to me it's a 7, except for mainly, that. And there are a few other things that I'm going to point out. Now, because we have 2 here, it's going to be difficult. If we're going to list lots and lots of things for this, and then we're going to list lots of key features for this, we're going to have a problem. Because you're going to be writing like 350 words or something like that, or 400 words, and it's going to take you too long as well. So when we have 2 charts, or we have 2 tables, or a bar chart and a pie chart, or whatever, we're going to have to be selective, and try and find the most kind of significant stuff. Now, if we looked at this, we could definitely say maybe, sorry, Misbah, can you remember the things that I told you to look for that day? Can you remember what I said we should look for?
Similarities and differences, the highest points and lowest points.
Similarities, differences, highest, lowest. Anything else? Most dramatic changes, because sometimes when we have a graph,
changes.
we have changes, or we have crazy fluctuations, and stuff like that. Yeah. So here we could say sorry. Then I have least dramatic. Okay. So right. So what could we do here? So we have the highest number, heating, the lowest, cooling. Yeah. So we have the highest, we have the lowest here. Okay. This is something that, of course, that we could definitely compare. Yeah. Then here we have what's the highest. We have the highest, and we have the lowest. So 32 here, and we have the lowest being 3. All right. Now, what we could do now is, so we have highest and lowest, we have the highest and lowest. Now what we could do is, we could maybe introduce, you know, the differences in proportions. Yeah. So what's the most significant thing here? Yeah. So one of the most significant things is we have maybe heating at 42, but the emissions are only 15. So this seems to be significant here. Yeah. Here we have a similarity here. A similarity 30, 32. And what else do we have? And we have other doubled as well. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at these points, and then we want to think about how we could organize them. Okay. So I'm thinking this. I'm thinking this, for example. Highest, lowest. Okay, so let me just put body paragraph 1. BP1. 1. Highest, lowest. For both charts. Okay. And then possibly BP2. Right, so we have highest, lowest for both charts, comparison between usage and emissions, right? So here we could maybe point out 2 or 3 things, and here possibly we could, in the first body paragraph, it could be like the highest and the lowest, the highest and the lowest, and so on. Okay, so now, so we chose, for example, highest and lowest, and then we wanted to talk about, you know, the comparison between, we wanted to compare the usage and emission. We said here we have heating, it's, you know, half, even though it's the most, you know, most energy is used on heating, you know, it's only half of, you know, the usage. In emissions, so it only contributes 15%. And then we had other appliances were only, you know, were 15% of the usage, but, you know, they nearly just, you know, they nearly doubled. And then we have a similarity there. Okay. So we have a number of points that we can put in the overview, and then in the body paragraphs we have a logical way of doing this. Of course, there's not one way we could logically group them. We said body paragraph number 1 could talk about usage, and body paragraph number 2 could talk about you know, a comparison between the two. Now, what I want to bring to your attention is this sentence in the question. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting main features. Okay, so we need the main features and we need to select them. But in addition to that, make comparisons where relevant. So personally, I think for you to really fulfill the requirements of the question, I think that a comparison here is relevant. Okay, so first we need to write the overview, and then we need to put the key features and compare them and contrast them in paragraphs, and make sure the way that we choose the information and that we group the information is very logical. Okay, so let's take a look. 2 pie charts are provided. The first one gives the information. We don't know about it yet. So we're just going to say gives information about the utilization of energy per average home in Australia. While the second one illustrates, I like it, one reference link, nice. One here, of course, referring to the chart. Illustrates the percentage of greenhouse gas emission from different methods of energy use. Very nice, very good. Well, let's take a look at the overview. Overall, it can be seen that the highest energy is utilized in heating, and then she starts off followed by water heating and energy use and energy expenses in running different home appliances. Okay, so here it seems like Mispo was just giving us a list. This is first, this is second, this is third. Now, you know, this is it's like kind of mechanical in a sense. You're just giving us a list of things, you know. So I wouldn't just do that, you know, just list things like this is first, this is second, this is third. We want to, you know, do something a little bit more sophisticated than that. And also, as I said, I'm going to unhighlight. Get rid of the highlight here, and I'm going to highlight, summarize. So this is one. Summarize, selecting. And then I have main features. And then I have make comparisons. So I want to make sure that I'm doing these things. Okay, so this for me, it wasn't that good. Fair enough, if you said highest and lowest, I could see how significant these were. But you're just like listing, this is first, this is second, this is third. As far as the emissions and gas is concerned, the top is water, followed by, on the other hand, cooling constitute the smallest. Okay, at least you gave us like the highest and then you gave us the lowest. So that was better. That was better than when you talked about emissions. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think the overview was the best overview. I think you should watch my video on overviews on my YouTube channel and see how I group things, and you know, and maybe you know you can attempt to do another overview, or attempt to do practice overviews. I have a nice. Well, I wrote it. I shouldn't be saying it's nice, but I have a nice article that I have written about overviews and how to practice overviews. How to practice overviews and get some really good overviews. And my idea is this: you practice with the partner, and what you do is you think about writing, you give a description to a partner who has to try and reconstruct the information within the question. So the challenge is this. Let me read the challenge. The challenge is to write an introduction and overview in less than 60 words in total. Okay. And the person who you're telling this overview to has to try and reconstruct the information within the question. So if it's a graph or a bar chart or a pie chart or something like that, they have to try with the key features that you're giving them to reconstruct the pie chart and so on. Yeah. So this is the goal. So with the partner, take a task that your partner doesn't know about or preferably hasn't seen. Give yourself 10 minutes to write an introduction and overview. This overview will function as a description for your partner. After 10 minutes, take turns reading your introduction and overview to your partner. It's your partner's job to reconstruct all the data as accurately as possible without seeing the question. Repeat the introduction and overview as many times as needed. Set a 5-minute timeline. If you're only allowed to read information from the intro and overview, you can't add. You're only allowed to read information from the intro and overview. You can't add any more information. So this is your challenge. By writing 60 words, you want to be able to sum up the most important stuff for somebody who can't see the question. And they want to try and write and draw the table, the charts, the information as accurately as possible. So after you've both finished, compare what your partner has written or drawn with the question in the book or paper. And then what you want to do is you want to see which important information is missing for your partner to be able to reconstruct the question more accurately. Okay, so this could be fun. If you have a friend who's training for IELTS, task 1, you could sit down together and you can do it as a challenge. It might be, you know, kind of a fun activity where you get to compare them and probably have a little bit of a laugh and a joke with your friend at the same time. So that's why when I did the article, I chose somebody who was, you know, blindfolded because the person can't see, you know, the question, and that's the task. Okay. So after you finish, you're going to compare and see which things are missing. Possibly make adjustments to this introduction and overview to make the process of reconstructing the question easier. Okay, group of 3. You could both ask a third person to listen to the updated instructions and overviews and get them to attempt a reconstruction of the question. So maybe after you've finished with the partner, now you bring in a third partner and then you give them the updated introduction and the updated intro and see if they can make you know, a better reconstruction of the question than the first attempt. Okay, so it's a fun activity. I haven't tried it because, you know, I came up with this idea, but I haven't tried it in class because I've mainly been you know, teaching online these days, so I don't have that many students, you know, to practice with. But I really want to try this out in a class. I'm sure I'm going to have a laugh when I get to compare questions and stuff like that. And if you try it as well, I'm sure you're going to find it really fun. Alone, you could do it alone. Yeah. So if you're alone, you can do the same process. Give yourself 5 minutes to reconstruct the task based on the introduction and overview while covering the question. Make adjustments after you have finished by comparing what you have written with the question. So by yourself, maybe you could look at your overview and, you know, the information that you've reconstructed and see what's missing and try and adjust the overview in accordance with that. Okay. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if I've been, you know, encouraging you guys to check out my blog. If I haven't, you know, I'm sure there's something that you could find here that will be of use to you as well. Okay, let's get back. So what do we have? It's Misbah. Okay, so Misbah, I don't know. Misbah really didn't cover the first bar chart. She only said what's the highest, the second, and third. Very mechanical. There was no selection there, really good selection. As far as the emissions are concerned, maybe we had the highest and the lowest. But I'm sure it could have been better. Now, I think you can remember when I said the overview and the body paragraphs should be a mirror image of each other. So this means that everything that is in the overview is reflected in the body. And whatever's in the body is reflected in the overview. And they are like a straight reflection of each other. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Misbah, even though she didn't write about some of the key features in the overview, she wrote about them in the body, okay? And the body only had one paragraph, you know, so there was no chance for her really to flex her muscles and to show how good, you know, how well she can, you know, separate the body paragraphs in a logical manner. So there were no muscles being flexed here, and that will definitely cost MISPA in CC. Okay, Mispa probably hates me now, but you know I'm being the worst. I'm being the worst corrector ever. Okay, so I'm the worst corrector because I seem to see stuff probably that even other people don't. So I'm going to give you 2 6s. Well, I'm going to read it here. I'm going to read it. Let's read it and let's see. The average household in Australia uses the highest, and then we have 42 of energy. The highest 42%. I've never seen the highest 42%. 42% is 42%. It can't be highest or lowest. Well, we could say the highest amount of energy, and then we could say comma 42%. For purposes. I think we use something for, yeah? So let's get that collocation sorted. For heating purposes. Okay. Even though I don't like that, I told you guys let's drop these commas when we have dependent clauses coming second. Let's just use these you know, subordinating conjunctions just to tie them, you know, tie them together without the commas. Okay. Even though it emits only 15%. Wow. So here we have, you know, Mispa, she's doing a little bit of comparing, you know, we're relevant. But she decided to do it in the body paragraph and not here. What I need is, I need everything to be, you know, like I need this to summarize the body. I don't want the, you know, like the head to be in one area and the body to be in another, you know. I want them to be joined, you know. I want these to be reflections. So, so let's kind of put this stuff here. Now, as a corrector, my job is, well, I'm not official, by the way, but that's all I seem to do, correct papers. So as a corrector, my job is to check that things that are written in the overview are written in the body, and things that are written in the body are written in the overview. Now, many times I say to students, where is this point? Where is that point? I can't find it. And they start to give me excuses like, oh, look, it's written here. I put it here. I put it there. You know, but the problem is it's very hard for me to find. And imagine if I'm an examiner and I have like a stack of papers in front of me and I have a limited amount of time to correct them, I'm not going to spend, you know, 30 minutes trying to find, you know, your details. Give it to me in a very simple way. Help me to find it. Don't do it in a very complicated way. So here I'm going to find, oh, she's written about water source, you know, water heating. Let me try and find it for her to see if she's done it. Oh, she's written about appliances and heating. Let's see if she compared it or she did it. This is so difficult. You know, present the information in the overview in a way, and then present it in the body, you know, in the same manner. So then it's very easy for the examiner to find. So I need the examiner. I want the examiner to be able to find your information very quickly and very easily. Okay, so it should be easy for the examiner to know exactly what you're doing in this body paragraph. Oh, here I'm comparing the highest with the lowest. I'm looking at the main similarities and the main differences. So it's very easy. You're highlighting. You're making the job of the examiner easier for them, and they will thank you for it. You know, hopefully in marks for CC. So here we have Mispa doing something, and she's comparing them, which is nice. Water heating takes 30 and results in almost proportionate amount of greenhouse gas emission. So this is nice. But did she mention that in the overview? Maybe gas emission of 32%, possibly, huh? Although 15% of energy is spent on the appliances, it produces approximately a double of greenhouse gas, 28%. Okay, that's nice, approximately. We're getting some of that vocabulary there, yeah? Nice. Let's give it some love. Let's give it some love. Fuel. Okay. Okay. With regards to cooling, it requires the least amount of energy, 2%, and likewise is the smallest source. So here we have something else, another kind of, you could say, key feature, which is the least, and it's similar in the fact that, you know, the emissions and the usage are kind of the same. So, you know, these could be like similar things, you know. So, Misbah, I want you to tell me where you think you went wrong and what you could do to maybe rectify this, you know, these mistakes.
Actually, sir, when I was writing this essay,
It's a report.
on one hand, I was trying to avoid repetition. I don't know, something went wrong, and the things I quoted in the body paragraph, I failed to write it in the overview.
Okay, for me, the plan is important. List the key features. Try to make a plan. How can I group them? How can I group them? Anything you can't group, we said, it's like when you're fixing something, after you finish fixing it, you might have an extra 2 screws or something. You don't know what to do with them, you throw them away. That's what we do with the overview. We list all of the key features. Then we think about logical ways of grouping them. And then anything that we can't find a place for, we throw it away and we do not include it in the overview. Okay, so that's what we should do. That's a very good technique, and you know, hopefully it will help you. When you're writing, that's it. You're just writing in accordance with the plan. Now, you did not have a plan. There's absolutely no way you had a plan because you had one body paragraph there. You know, you had one body paragraph and your features were everywhere. They were in the overview, they were in the body paragraphs. So there was no plan. Make sure you have a plan. And Misbah, if you're not in a rush to take the exam, like really quickly or whatever, practice the planning phase for both. Plan task 1s and plan task 2s, plan task 1s, plan task 2s. Make yourself really efficient and really quick at planning. And that will help you. That will help you speed up, and I think that will help your task achievement, your coherence and cohesion. Everything will improve. Okay, guys. Any questions? Misbah, Munir, Fiza, you guys, you're welcome.
Yes, sir. I have a question. Sir, I'm having quite a lot of issue with using article the. I mostly make mistake whether I should use the or I should avoid. So I'm not clear with it. Where should I use it and where should I avoid it?
Okay, there is quite a lot. Yeah, there are quite a lot of rules regarding articles. But one of the, you know, I'm just going to talk about a few simple things.
Okay.
That hopefully you can use, and there are some things that you will have to probably even have to memorize. Okay. In addition to the things that you can memorize, so there's some things that you can understand. There's some things that you can memorize, and there are some things that I want you to pick up from continuous reading. Basically, when you read and you see these rules hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, they kind of become fixed in your mind. And sometimes you don't even know why it should be or why it shouldn't be. You just know that it's right. And if you don't do it right, you don't even know why it is. Now, if you ask the native speaker why they put an article or why they didn't put an article, they won't know. They absolutely won't know. They won't even know what an article is. If you stopped somebody in the street and said, "Excuse me, do you know what a definite article is?" they wouldn't know. Or if you told them that a definite article is a food or a snack, they would probably believe you. And I know that this is difficult for you to understand because you're a second, you're learning English as a second language or as a foreign language. I don't know. But so you have learnt grammar. But English people, they learn how to read and write and stuff like that without knowing anything. I studied in the UK, and and in primary school and secondary school, I never heard what a verb was. That's the honest truth. I didn't know what a verb was, or what an adjective was, or anything like that. And when I went into teaching, I was taking like courses and stuff like that, and that's when I found out what an article was and what present simple is and past perfect and passive voice and all that stuff. It was all new. I didn't know anything. So natives are absolutely terrible with knowledge when it comes to grammar, but they're very good because they have a sense. They don't need it. They don't need it. They just know this is right and I'm going to use it, and this is wrong and I won't use it. Why? They don't know. Okay. And many teachers, I've seen them, they go into class and they get questions by students, they don't even know how to answer them. They're like, it's wrong. I know it's wrong, but I can't give them the exact reason why it's wrong, why we can't use it. We don't know. So what we want is we want kind of like a little combination of all of these things. We want you to understand some of the things, why and whatever. We want to memorize some of the things, and some things we want to get them from doing a lot of reading and stuff like that. We want, we want to condition our brains to, just to know, to get that feeling for what's right and what's wrong. So some people think that reading is a waste of time. I don't think reading is a waste of time. This is why I always advise read lots of band 9, read lots of stuff. Not because I like their approaches. I think some of their approaches are absolutely rubbish. I don't care how famous they are or how whatever. I think some of their approaches are rubbish and they will not even get a student to band 7. But the language is beautiful. And that's what I want, students to pick up on, by continuously reading. Okay, so as for rules, we use the when the person knows, when we're talking about something specific, and the person who is reading knows which boy or which girl or which book you are talking about. So when we started off your letter, was it your letter? I think it was. Yeah. I left that. I'm writing the educational documents. Okay, so the person, he doesn't know the educational documents. So he doesn't know the educational documents that you're talking about.
Right, sir.
But after you've introduced them, he knows. When I say the documents, it's like, oh yeah, he's talking about the educational documents that he lost. So this means that the reader knows which boy, which paper, which book, which cup, which whatever you're talking about. And yeah, so you're talking about a specific one and they know which one you're talking about. Okay, so the first time we are introducing something, we do not introduce it with a definite article. If it's singular, we're going to use it with an indefinite article like a or an. Yeah. So regarding an educational document, if it's singular, regarding an educational document that I forgot at your hotel or whatever. Okay. Now, after that, we can start to say the documents. Yeah. So that's that. Also, we have the. We use the when there's only one in the world. Yeah. The sun or the moon, because we only have one of them. So whenever there's only one of something, we usually use the. Okay. There are lists of things that it might help if you have good memory to try and remember a few as the most common ones. Okay. We usually use the before superlatives, the highest, the lowest, because there's only one with a superlative. Okay, So that's also another time when we only have one, we say the. Okay. So here we have I realized that my important papers transcript. Yeah, and migration certificate. Okay, so here we only, we're introducing them for the first time, and we're just going to say we're not going to say the transcript. Okay. I shared, I think, some really good stuff with I think it was Ankit at the beginning of the course. If I can find it, was it this one? I checked quite a few. Okay, so we have some rules here, some really good rules. Some of them we use from here. Okay, so here we use the to refer to something after it has been mentioned. On Monday, an unarmed man stole 1,000 from the bank. The thief, because we mentioned it. Okay, here we have we use the when you assume there is just one of something. So I said this, so it's going to be the forest. Okay, where's the bathroom? So if you think there's only one, we're going to say the. Okay. Here we have the man who. So here this is a defining relative clause, and we're going to give a definition for it. So the man now is going to be clear. The man, which man who wrote this book is famous. Okay, I scratched the red car, which is parked outside. Okay, so here this is called a reduced defining relative clause. Well, we take away the defining pronoun and the verb to be. Okay, I live in the small house with a blue door. So with is taking the place of which has. So these are defining relative clauses. But we are being very specific, and we are giving, like a definition which one we are talking about. Okay, so here we have things that are unique. There's only one of them, like the sun, the world, the sky, the president. We only have one, the CEO, and so on. Then we have superlatives, the highest, and so on. Okay, when we refer to a whole group of people, like the French, the elderly, so we're referring to a group of people. The poor, so we're talking about a group of poor people. Okay, decades, and the 70s and stuff like that. Only, introducing only clauses, and here we have some proper nouns, so some of the names, proper nouns, yeah. So names of, places like, Arctic and stuff like that. Now, this is important here. We have countries. Countries we don't put the in front of countries unless they have plural names like the Netherlands and the Philippines. And also when we have republic and kingdom, so we say the UK, the USA, yeah. So the United States, the Republic of Ireland, and so on. So plural, and then when we have United and Republic and Kingdom and stuff like that, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and stuff, KSA. Okay. Newspaper names, famous buildings. Okay, so the Eiffel Tower and so on and so on. Okay, so here we also have some exceptions for the rules. I'll share this article with you. What's it from? English First, yeah. So English First. I'll just share it now. I think you know what my memory is like, yeah. So I'll just share it now with you guys. There's another one that I really liked as well. Please read it. Oh, sorry, I posted it in the wrong place as usual. Yeah. What's it called?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think it's called Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Today is the perfect example of that. I thought, I'd take it easy. I only had one task to do today, and my laptop, I could not get the touchpad to work. So I was trying to fix, correct your paper, but I just could not do it. And I don't use a mouse. So it was like a last minute job. I was trying to find someone who had a mouse just so that I could correct your papers. So if it can go wrong, it will go wrong with technology. So always have like so many backup plans, I think, with technology. Let's see. I had another one I really liked. I think it was this one, the British Council one. Yeah, this is it. Very nice article. Let me share it with you guys. Okay, that's that. Yeah. So let me. What do I have? This with me. Yeah. Hopefully, I'll share your papers as well. Okay, Munir, you have some stuff to work with definite articles and stuff like that. Hopefully, if you improve in that manner, your accuracy should be higher. But Munir, as you know, you're taking a bit too long with your task 2 and task 1. So even though your accuracy is high, it might not be high in 1 hour. So get practice.
Yes, I need to work in time.
Get practicing and improve that. Yeah. Okay. Munir, any more questions?
No, sir.
Excellent. Misbah?
Sir, I want to talk about some stuff. Sir, can you not delete this group, the WhatsApp group?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. That's my request as well.
Sir, because it's containing some important links. So that's why I wanted to.
Okay. I'll keep the group open. All right. I'll keep the group open definitely. So yeah, it does have some resources. This is why I'm trying to get you guys to copy resources and so on. But I'll leave it open. I don't really have any reason for closing it. I called my other one IELTS Writing Course 2, so I'll have you guys numbered. That should be fine. Anything else, Misbah? Any other concerns that you have?
Sir, can I join the next group as an observer?
Yes, you can join as an observer. That's not a problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Munir, so the offer is open, you guys. Yeah. But of course, I always give priority to the priority to the people who are doing the course, and leave questions till the end to like Q&A and stuff like that. Unless I ask you specifically, I ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sure.
Just I don't want any of the clients to say that, oh, you bring in other people who are interfering with my learning process or whatever. Even though I'm allowed, I clearly state in the advertisement that I have 10 students per class, so nobody can complain if I have 10. And this is my choice if I let somebody on the course or I don't. So you guys are allowed to observe, but I still would like you to try and leave, give, the other people, priority first.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else, you guys? Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Dr. Sadaf wasn't able to come today, and Dr. Saif, I think they had something. So you guys, you can all do another task, and you can post it in the group. I'll try and write a few comments here and there on the tasks. So this is something additional, a freebie from me. So hopefully I can just see your progress and so on. Keep in contact. Do not take the exam before you send me some writing. I just want to see. I don't want you guys wasting money. I can quickly take a look at writing and tell if it's band 7 or not. Misbah and Munir, you're doing well, but Munir, you need to get the timing. You need to work your write within like 55 minutes. And Misbah, I recommend that you just practice a little bit more. Just give it 1 month of practice, and then go for it. Okay. I recorded this lesson. I think I will upload it to my YouTube channel. I'm sure there's something that some students can benefit from. So I'll upload this one onto my channel. Okay, guys, keep in contact on the WhatsApp group and on Facebook. You can all add me on Facebook. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so thank you so much.